Just built a marketing head team on NA10. And this was something I actually wanted to do for a while. I did it much quicker than I expected. So we'll just take you guys through what this whole thing is. We'll show you a few examples of the sample output that it's given. And yes, so this whole thing is a marketing head or marketing team, we can call it, that consists of content writers, newsletters, blog writing, social media ideas, social media calendar generator, image generator, and videos. So this whole thing is being built. Yeah, so this is just through voice. So what it does is one of the outputs it gave was I think I asked it to write a blog about automation and AI agents, and it came up with this. So it came up with so I said I want a short blog, not too long, about 150 to 200 words, and yes, the whole thing it gave super simple, easy. Uh, Yeah, I think I got this done in like less than 10 minutes. Another one was like an image. So it tells me the image description. It gives me what the concept is, what the prompt was, what the layout is, what recommendation that it gave. And then it gives you the output over here, as we can see. Let me just click it so that we can take a look at it on this. So it's something like automation and so on. So let's do like a sample demo and then I'll take you through on how this whole thing works. So let me just get out my Telegram on my phone and then we can see because it also sends you back an audio on what it's done. So if you can ask it to maybe generate a social media ideas. So let me just take out my Telegram. Let's execute this first. Can you create me a social media ideas on an industry that does AI and automation with AI agents? And now we can see it like live that it's going through. So it's transcribed the audio, the marketing has chose head has chosen this, so it's working on this. It does research on perplexity and then sends it to your Gmail. Very simple, very easy to use. Once you get a hang of it, you can generate a lot of content on and on. You don't need to kind of think a lot because it just does it for you, gives it back, and then you're done. So once it's done, I'll get back to you. Yes, so it's just got sent to my Gmail. Now I'm going to get sent to an audio, so we can also hear the audio once it gets sent. So we got sent the audio. Let's just play the audio.
I've generated and emailed 3 strategic social media content ideas focused on AI and automation, specifically highlighting AI agents. The ideas are based on current market data and trends, including projected growth and real world success stories, tailored for
So isn't this great? Let's go take a look at the agent that has given output. So here it's done. It's done a full social media content ideas. It tells you what needs to be done, what platform, content type, core, CTAs, and so on. So we can tailor it a lot more because I've just asked it to do it for like an AI automation AI agent company. That's why it's given a core concept that's 5 billion to 52 billion. But it's given a three simple one. We can make this to get ideas or maybe 10 ideas. So that basically shows a whole demo. We can see that it's done pretty well. And let me take you through it so that you guys know a bit more on how it's done. So the first step itself, I've asked it to do like a telegram. So it's a voice. So we click the voice, it's going to telegram. We have said additional fields you have to make sure it's download once the triggers message. That's when it knows whether an image is coming or a file is coming. Then we have an if node. It checks whether it's like a voice email, like it's not empty. So we just need to add this. And here you can see the right part. Then we have the file. So we say we get the file, which is from here, it comes into our data. Then it goes to OpenAI that we use, where we're actually asking it to transcribe a recording. So it looks at this, transcribes, and then it gives an output here. Once it's done, the main part is the orchestrate agent. So this calls the other agents to get the work done. So if we take a look at this, so the user is just going to be the text that comes out from the transcribe audio. Now let's take a look at the system prompt, which is basically what it needs to follow, right? Again, I'm not asked it to do too long. It's just saying that you're like a marketing head AI agent. What is your role? Is based to understand the users, transcribe user message, specialize in sub agents. And I've said here the tools available. The tools are basically the other AI agents that you call. I'll show you how that can be done. And I've asked it to give some instructions. It's like what it needs to do. So the reason I wanted everything to just be short and like short summary of it to kind of send it back to me as a short summary by voice, and that's simple. And yeah, so you can see the output here, right? So then it goes to generated audio because it looks at what the output is and then it sends it to you by like the file. So I've asked it to, I think, do like simple memory. So it knows what our conversations back and forth. So I can tell it saying, oh, you've sent me this, but I want to improve on this, is this, and so on. So let's just do the social media. So how do you get to this? So when you right click, you can actually use tools. Sorry, not right click. So you can use tools from the marketing head. Click on tools, and you don't need to call this, but you can say agent. So you can click on AI agent, and then you can call it a tool, and then it comes up as this, right? And then you can give it a chat model, tools, memories it needs to look at, and so on. So here, use like Sonnet 3. Sonnet 3.5, and I think it works for me pretty well. But I like the content it provides. Also, ask it to research on perplexity. Very simple because we know research perplexity is supposed to be the best, and then it just sends it to my Gmail again, like another tool. So it has two tools to use, right? Again here. So if I go back here into this, you can see I've given it a description what it needs to do. So I've said for Twitter or LinkedIn updates, for social media content ideas, campaigns, Twitter threads, and so on. Right? I've asked it to define the model because I don't want me to write the thing. I want the agent to figure out what the user messages. Depending on that, it needs to call that particular tool. So it just makes it easier, like for us. So here I've just given a description on what this tool actually does or what this AI agent does. And then the system prompt. Could actually get the system prompt to the model, but because I wanted it in a specific way and a specific format, I've just kind of like asked it to like give the whole thing. So it's basically just saying that you're a social media idea expert. Your primary job is to receive a request, which is like a tone, topic, or platform from the main AI agent, generating highly creative and actionable content ideas. So once we have all of this, which is basically we give it the structure, the format, the rules to follow. It does that and then it sends it to your mail. So this is simple. So like this, I've created like others. So if you just go through even like a blog agent, because it knows that it's not like the blog prompt, so it has not called this. And the description is saying that create like long form SEO, optimize blogs, instructions, and so on. Right? The users again going to be depending on what this message is going to be. And then the expression for this, it's also going to be simple. Like I didn't want it to be too complex. We can give it a lot more inputs, examples, more rules, structured things to follow. It just makes it much easier for the AI to give it. But I think with the short form that we saw over here as a short blog, I think it wrote pretty well. This is like for the blog agent. For the newsletters, again, similar. What the description of this AI agent does, which is a newsletter. Given we can also saying newsletter request, again, everything needs to be defined by the model automatically because it makes it much easier. And yes, again here it's again similar. So if I open this up, we can see what it shows, right? I'm not going to go into detail on all of this, but yes, you can pause the video and take a look at all of these system prompts that I go to. Right? Over here again, I'm asking for the newsletter and the blog to kind of look at the SERP, look at Google, look at the articles, come up with some nice articles, look at what's trending, and then write the newsletter and the blogs. So if we do the social media idea content generation, I've asked it to look at two, which is Tavily as a search tool and Perplexity. So I wanted to look at both to see which what it comes up with, which is the best idea, and so on. So and then it sends it to your Gmail. So we'll just go through this agent. Simple. I've just described what the agent is. Give me a 30-day plan on the social media. Right? If it says 30 days, description again needs to be written. And there are slightly longer brief. So you can kind of pause it, take a look at this, have a screenshot. You can use this, you can tailor it to a lot more to your industry, to your preference, and it makes it much easier. Now coming to the last two. So the last two, you can notice that they don't have these tools to call because we want them to call a sub agent to get the workflow ready. So as I showed earlier, when you click on tools, on the right hand side, you can say call N8N sub workflow. This is basically a sub workflow. So we call this, and let me go into this sub workflow. And we can see, right, it's a very simple sub workflow. It's just something to design. I wanted to use OpenAI. We can use, I think Nano Banana will be like the best at the moment, so we can use that. But even OpenAI will kind of like give me a pretty well with GPT-1 image. So here, if you look at the AI agent prompt, let me just click on the user. It's simple, right? I've just said generate a design concept for our marketing campaign based on the description of the prompt. This includes creative design, suggest layout, and that's why we saw in this it suggested this, suggest layout, and it gave like a recommendation tones. We can tell it to design it to our brand guidelines. We can give the brand guidelines to it, and it'll design it. So the system prompt here again, you can pause the video, read it, tailor it to your industry. But it's mainly just saying that you're an expert in graphic design, what your job needs to be done, needs to be simple, easy to use, and get the whole like work. So keep the language professional, short, and easy to understand. We don't want too complex stuff and so on. So we do OpenAI here image. I've used GPT image one, just given it what it needs to be done, like to design it, and then it's out there. And then sends it to your Gmail, right? This we know it's easy. So that's for the image generator. So the image for the video generator, I've actually used a mix of Nano Banana and VO 3.1 with actually I'm using a third party called Key AI. I noticed this with following Nate Herc's video. He used Key AI, and that's how I started kind of using that and implementing that into this whole thing. Key AI, go to the API documentation. You can see what needs to be done. Follow those steps completely, implement it here, and then you're done, right? I just get it by your email. Just make sure one thing is that you have like a loop or like an if node that if it's not succeeded, it goes back and has a wait node. Put the wait node 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 20 seconds. Don't do it too long. Ideally, try to do it like anywhere between 5 to 10, maybe 15 is also okay, but not too long, I think. Because then they could have like errors showing up and so on. So the same thing here. I'm just saying what the image it needs to be done, the prompt for the video it gives it, and I get it sent to my email. So this whole thing it comes back to your so once it calls this agent, it comes back to the OpenAI generate audio. So I want the AI agent to generate the audio and give it to me.